Well, last month, and if you're watching on Monday, you also would have seen it, Stone and Chalk's Cheryl Mack joined us for the first in our Pitch Doctor series. It's where we take your pitch decks and analyze them to improve the investor outcome. Now, last time we spoke about Fire Festival, which had an impressive pitch deck, but a pretty awful execution. Today is one that was sent to us by Elevator, and I believe they're a recruitment company, but I'll let Cheryl, who's in studio to tell us what she thinks, to tell us more.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, so Elevator is a really cool pitch deck, actually, and I'm really glad that that was the first one that was sent to us. So basically the concept was reimagining the way how businesses connect with professionals that they want to potentially hire.
Wow.
Yeah, and did you work that out straight away?
Yes, kind of. I got the concept, and then I was interested to learn how they were going to execute. So yeah, it was interesting.
And what about it made you learn, the pitch, I guess, instantly? I think we've got the image on the screen there.
Yeah, so I think one of the cool things about this one is that it was really a brand new way of articulating how people connect in that sense, right? So what we have right now is you either hire a recruiter or you have an internal HR person that goes out. And so this slide right here, this was quite intriguing, and it made me want to continue and read more, because I thought, okay, well, what are they talking about? What is this brand new way? And they did actually come up with a brand new way, and that was essentially that businesses would pay to connect with the professionals just to actually get their details.
Right, and is there, I guess in the market at the moment, is there a need for that, particularly at the moment with all what's going on in employment?
Well, so that was the question that I articulated in my feedback that they didn't quite answer, and I really would have loved for them to answer that question. Is this the way that professionals want to be connected with? Is this needed in the market, or is the current way of doing things actually sufficient?
So I understand some of the things that you liked about it were the how it works slide and the traction. They explained that well. Talk us through that.
Yeah, the how it works slide. So I get a lot of pitch decks, and a lot of them are these high-flying vision, fluffy words like, oh, we're going to reimagine through AI and blockchain, and it's going to just improve everything. This was just a very simple way. They articulated it in very human, simple terms. Professionals set their skills. Companies search for people, the results are anonymous. It was very down to earth, very articulate, very clear and concise. The other one that I liked, which was the traction slide. What I typically see with pitch decks is I see this kind of vague graphic of some sort of timeline and little dots along the way that have, milestones. But rarely are we indicated where in the timeline the company currently is at and what they've actually executed so far. And even more rarely do we have a start date. Whereas this, although didn't have the timeline graphic, was very clear. You gave me a number of users, you gave me a start date from when you had executed this, you gave me very clear numbers. So I actually really liked this traction slide.
That's awesome. So that's some of the great things about it. Unfortunately, I'm sure there are some areas to improve on. And what were some of those?
Yeah, so the team slide, I think, left a lot to be desired. The thing is, when you come up with something brand new, like we're going to totally change the way people hire, businesses hire people, you kind of need to be able to back that up. Like, why are you the team that's going to execute on this? Another one here with this slide, the problem slide, it went into some detail, but at the end it started to actually try to pitch the person as if they were a customer. So I do encourage founders to avoid turning your pitch deck into a customer pitch deck where you're trying to sell people, like build up your shortlist to future-proof your company. That's kind of selling to a company, not to an investor.
Now, tell me, did they solve the why? Like, did you understand why they're coming up with this solution?
Inherently, as someone who has hired lots of people in the past, I understand the problem. However, in the pitch investor deck itself, I don't think that they addressed this. They did not provide enough information as to why this is a problem, why is it a big enough problem that is worth solving, that is going to generate revenue. And so that's where it kind of fell apart in terms of why are professionals going to want to get their details paid for, and why are businesses going to pay just to connect with someone? So they didn't take that extra step to answer that why, and I think that was where it fell apart.
So in terms of that, it was very, it was straightforward. It gave you what you wanted, but it didn't sort of leave you wanting more, or I guess the feeling of excitement.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted more at the start with the, okay, brand new way, tell me more, then they told me more. And then I kind of got to the end and it didn't leave me thinking, okay, these are the people that are going to be able to execute this. Okay, I understand why this is a huge problem and why your solution is actually going to be able to address this.
One thing we've talked about before with you is balancing the words and the imagery of a pitch deck. How did they go on that front? Did it get you excited?
Yeah, so we've talked about the difference between a pitch deck and an investor deck. The ones that come through are the investor decks, the ones that are designed to be read on their own. So those ones absolutely can have more words, more context, because it needs to be able to be read. A pitch deck, on the other hand, I'm like 3 words on a slide max. But no, look, this one I think had the right amount for an investor deck that would be sent on its own. It had the right amount of words per graphics. There was one slide where they just had a picture of their product screenshot and nothing else. And that was where I was like, I could have used a little bit more words here, a bit more context. Like, what are the features other than just here's the app on a screen?
And with the differences between the investor and pitch deck, at the moment, are you seeing a lot more, I guess, investor decks because there's not so much someone in person? And I guess, how do you marry the two together, particularly as we do move out of online meetings?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't know if we'll be moving out of online meetings, first of all. But look, I think the key thing to start with is tell the story. If we're talking in person and I'm asking you about your business, tell the story first. So go from, okay, this is what we're doing, this is the product, this is the market opportunity. Then add pictures to it to help you articulate that story better and to remind you what to talk about. Then, when you know you're happy with that messaging and the story that you're telling along with those visual aids, you can add some more context, things that you might say in person, put them in the slides on text.
Okay, can you give us some kind of ranking of what you kind of think this pitch would be out of 10? How does it compare to others that come across your desk?
I would say actually pretty average, maybe even slightly above average, because I do see a lot of pitch decks from anywhere from like, I've got an idea, here's 2 slides, all the way to like, we're getting investment tomorrow. So it's a huge range. I'd say maybe slightly above average in terms of the articulation of the concept, but I don't know, a 6.
Yeah, but great feedback that you've given them on how to elevate it to a 10, right?
Yes.
And Cheryl, of course, we're going to try and get you back in. So if you are watching, if you are a startup, do email us. It's there, startups@ausbiz.com.au. We can send them on to Cheryl. They'll be on startupdaily.net after her expert eye, and we'll get you in studio again, of course, to go over them. Thank you for joining us.